All right, here we go. This is part two, session two, whatever you want to call it. And so I need to do some fixing on this. I mean, if you look at this, most of it's pretty good um, for for my skill level. That is, most of it's pretty good, but the eyes are really these eyes are just smaller. If you look at the amount of space, so I had Hurley look at this for me, and it's always good to get an outside perspective. The other thing is to be able to step away and then come back later and look at it, because with fresh eyes, as they call it, because that will help a lot too. But if you look at here, if you look at this part of the eye, this white part of the eye, look at how much of that there is there, and there's like barely any here. So I need to make this eye bigger. If you look at the eyebrow here, so I got this instead of this thing, I got these. I totally forgot that I had them, because like I said, I am by no means a professional long-term artist or anything like that. I mean, this is a new thing that I'm doing. So the eyebrow goes from here to here, right? And if you look at here, looks like, yeah. So if you look at here, the eyebrow needs to come over just another couple hairs, actually. That's about it. So let me grab the pencil that I've been working with here. Come on. They're all in my pencils are in a slot where they don't want to come out. Okay. So we're going to do this first of all. We're going to bring this, and these are actually quite a bit darker too. But yeah, we're going to need to, the other thing is, if you look at the amount of space between the top of the eyelid here and the bottom of the eyebrow, it's basically one of these thicknesses, and then here it's quite a bit more, it seems. So I think what I'm going to need to do is, first of all, I need to erase some of this if I can. Now this is a really fine tip eraser, if you can see it at all. This is a really fine tip eraser, and it's called a Mono Zero, and basically you can clean it off with your hand, or you can rub it on another piece of paper like this to get the old stuff off. Yeah, we need to do this, get some of this out of here. And the other thing that I need to do, that I really, really, really need to do, is, because I'm having, whoops, sorry about that, headphone users. But yeah, I'm having a hard time with the value on these, because this seems like it should be white, but let's see. Let's look at, I mean, I've got a very primitive cheat sheet here. So it's between these two. See where it matches up here. Maybe here. So it's about here. And then if you compare that to white, I mean, that's a significant difference between there. And I keep thinking this is like just bright, you know? And so it's one of those, this is exactly what this tool is good for, is that it helps you get past the optical illusion. And they have little ones with little inlets in them, so you can really, like, you can get rid of the rest of the picture and just look at the value in that one place. But yeah, and then, I mean, the hair is on the eyebrow and stuff is pretty much almost black, and I don't want to go as extreme in this. I do want it to retain kind of a cartoony feel to it. I don't want it to be, I'm not trying to go for photorealism. Thing is, if I do that, any parts that are really good are going to stand out and look bad against the rest of it that isn't really good. And so it's part of the trick, is to try to maintain a consistency of what you're doing. And so this needs to come in You compare this to this, and again, like I said, this is really difficult for me because this is more difficult than other ones that I've done because it's so small, and so that any tiny difference in proportion, you know, one pencil width difference on the size of the eye, when the eye is, you know, this big, one pencil width is not that big of a deal, but here it's like the eye's twice as big now because it's one pencil width different, right? So let me sharpen this. Okay. And this is Schwartz Black. May the Schwartz be with you. Okay. So this is going to be, and you just need something to indicate how wide this little thing is. This little white area here. I mean, even these things are like so, the point on them is bigger than the amount of space I'm trying to measure, you know? So yeah, that needs to come more like out here. The white of the eye needs to, and so this needs to come across, and then this comes up. So here's another thing you do is you measure like the angle here, is you look at the angle of the eye here, and then you come up here, and so that needs to come on that same kind of angle. And I'm not even drawing lines, I'm just making little dots so I can get a better sense of it. Because this is so small. Okay, and that's a little bit too heavy. Actually, it's not really, because what I need to do also, I want to kind of indicate eyelashes here, like that. Not too much, but just a little bit. And then underneath the eye needs to be, I mean, you look at the value here, it's a lot darker. So we'll see if we can darken this up a little bit. I do need to fix a lot of the values on this. A lot of them are too not contrasty enough. And I mean, you look at the cheek here, there's barely any contrast, and so I need to get a better, I think this one, so I printed this out with different contrast levels, so this one is totally blown out. This one is, I try to get the best contrast I could on each of these, and then I also have it on the tablet. Let me see if I can do this. Go like this, and so yeah, I have it on the tablet too, so I can, in full color and everything too, so I can get a lot better sense of what I'm doing here. So there's a little bit of a dark fold there in the eye, and there's a little bit of, tiny bit of, I need to get the outline of the iris. And you know, the thing is, the funny thing is that this stuff is not going to show up when this is turned into an avatar, because you're totally not going to see any of these details. But I want the details to be good for, you know, the person who basically purchases this drawing. I want it to be done right. So let's see, we can get a little bit, there's a little bit of a line there. See, now the eye is, look at the difference between this eye and this eye. This one definitely has a lot more depth to it now, just from adding a little bit of, a tiny bit of value around it. And I need to get a little bit more underneath here too, because I mean, the light is coming from up here. And so the underside of the eyelid is not going to be white, which is basically what it is right now. So I do need to get this darker. There we go. And the other thing that means is that this stuff here is going to need to get darker too in order to fit with it. Not too much darker, but a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. And let me see here. We got a little bit of this. Like that. There we go. And then a little bit that. And so this eye is going to be the big challenge for me. Let me see what we could do. Mosquito, really? Let me get this mosquito. Got him. That. Bad. Bad mosquito. Is this now a snuff film? Okay, yeah. We'll put that away. Throw that in the garbage. Okay. Alright, so with this eye, if you can hear me over the TARDIS, this eye needs to come down about less than the width of this thing. So, yeah, wish me luck. And I'm not sure if it's even going to help to do that. But I think this eye definitely looks better if you cover up that and that. It's getting a better sense. Yeah, the other thing is the eyebrow. If you look at the eyebrow here, let me fix that too while I'm looking at it. Because look at this eyebrow comes and curves down. This one doesn't really curve down. It kind of stays straight. And then it fades out too. So let me get, let's see, we'll do this. Just get this so I'm not holding my hand on the thing. Now you can do too is you can take with this eraser, soft eraser, you can take like a razor blade or an X-Acto knife and you can cut a sharp point onto it to try to get this sort of eraser too. So is this okay? So it didn't come up more to begin with is I think the trick to this. So let's see if we can get it out of there. Like that. And maybe even get a little bit more of it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to need to sharpen this thing, I think. So this comes, it's really light here. Like that. And then we can even do a little bit of this. Now I'm not going to rub here, I'm just going to tap. Just a little tap tap, like that. As Bob would say. Okay. And then obviously I need to get above this. I need to get this value back in here. Now the other thing I'm running into problems with here is because this picture is so small, normally the texture of the paper would add like skin tone, and on this it's just it's not doing it. And I'm going to see if maybe this can help me. Let me just make sure there's nothing on it. I don't want to rub something new into it, but yeah, I want to see if maybe I can I'm really good at hitting the mic. Okay, see if I can do this. This is going to help at all. So what this does, and I'll just use a smaller one. This is just a paintbrush. just a regular old cheapo paintbrush. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to spread. I think, honestly, I'm not 100% positive, but I think it's actually just static electricity that picks up the little graphite or whatever molecules, grains. It picks up the little grains off the paper and sweeps them around. But that should kind of soften up. Okay. And because, yeah, if you probably can't see it in this because it's probably a little bit out of focus. Yeah, I don't think it can focus at the perfect distance there. But yeah, I don't think it can focus close enough for you to see all the tiny little details here. But on this, like on the forehead especially, it's the texture of the paper is visible, and it really makes the it look splotchy or something like that. It makes the skin look splotchy on here. So I'm just trying to get, and the funny thing is this paper is really great because of that. Normally it's great, it's supposed to be great portrait paper, which it's not supposed to be, it really is great portrait paper because of that feature. Let's see, I got a little bit too much there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this eye definitely looks a lot better. And then we just need to get this one here. So what are we going to do first? We're going to try to move this down. I need to move the iris down, and I mean, this is kind of looking up at you. This one's more like it's looking across at you. So we'll see if we can get that out of there. And I'm not sure if the eyebrow needs to come down too. Let me see. Let's just go like, I need a small straight edge. All my straight edges are huge compared to this. But if I go like, if we go like this, let's see the shadow on here. Can you see the shadow? So if we take perfectly vertical, so the top of that eye is the bottom of the iris. Can you see that? So this eyelid here, the top where the pupil is horizontal, straight across horizontal to the bottom of that iris. And so that's what we need to do here. Is I'm going to use the shadow. So let's see if you can see what I'm doing here. And I need to line this up with the top of the paper. There we go, right? So we're going to go like this. The top of that is the bottom of this. So that eye is a little bit higher. So we're going to get rid of the eyebrow too. This is really, to be honest, this is really, really, really scary. I had something that resembled a human face, and now I'm erasing things off of it and taking the risk that it's not going to turn out. And so it's kind of like in, I think football where you're not supposed to take points off the board kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. Don't take points off the board. It goes against every one of my instincts, but it's something that I've been trying to work on because I've been watching other people do stuff and trying to learn, from their tutorials and techniques and all that stuff. So again, we're going to go the top of this is the bottom of that. So we're going to do that for one thing. So that's right there, and you guys probably can't see that, but I've got a tiny little dot I just put there now. And the other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we measure the distance from pupil to pupil exactly. Okay, that's one of the biggest things is the eyes. If the eyes don't look like they're looking at you, it's really gonna be you're gonna have a bad time. Okay, is that actual pupil to pupil? Yeah, that's pupil to pupil. So we're going to do the same thing here. Let me go from above here. I'm going to do pupil. So the other pupil is going to be right there. Okay. Let me double check. That's going to be the middle of just underneath the eyebrow. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think we've got it. I think we've got the spot. Okay, so we're going to get this eyeball in here, and then we need this line here. So another thing you can do is, especially if your reference is proportioned the same, or scaled the same, so if your reference is the exact same size as what you're trying to draw, what you can do is you can go onto your reference, and you can put it at the same angle as what you're drawing, and you can go like this. I'm going to draw that line. Okay, that line. And so that's going to be that line. It's not going to be precise, but that'll get me, it should get me to the ballpark. And then we're going to do the lower line. So let me see, this is going to be the pupil. I need to erase that. I need to put blue in there first. Otherwise the black is going to override it. So let's do this. Is that this blue? I think I used a blue or green, didn't I? Did I use a blue-green? Let me see. Let me find my pencils here and see what I used. Because I think... I think I used a blue-green. Let me find out. So these are the pencils. We've got, I think, this one maybe? I think it's this one. Let me double check. It kind of looks like it. I think that's right. I think I wanted a nice bluish green. Let me see. Let me put this on the very edge of the paper. And we'll see if we can color match it here. Oh yeah, that's the same color. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go... I need to do this too. I need to get a super sharp point on this thing. Okay, So in my very, very limited experience, one of the few things that I think I've picked up is that, you know, when you look at something like this, you see the three-dimensionality of it. Even though it's just a two-dimensional picture, your brain creates the actual, all of it. You can see the other side of it and that kind of thing, even though it's not visible in there. And when you draw, that's where we go wrong when we draw, is we try to reproduce what we know is there instead of just, oh man, it broke and then that went on to there. Instead of just faithfully trying to reproduce how dark and light and what color is in which location. And that's why we end up with things with messed up proportions in our drawings, is because, like, especially when you get a thing where the face is turned and you can barely see the eye, we end up trying to bring the eye back to the front of the face in the drawing and draw it, even though it's not there. And so it's funny because you have to learn how to not see. I mean, you have to undo all of the automatic processing that your brain does for you. So this is going to be, this is going to be very close. We look at the corner of the eye. So that's one of the things like the little grid methods and stuff do when you draw a grid and you're just looking at everything that's inside that one little square. So if you look right here at this little point, I mean, you can probably not even see any white in this picture, even though there is a tiny, tiny bit. Let's see if I can get this sharpened, maybe. I'm trying to get a sharp edge on it. There we go. I think that'll work. Let's see. But yeah, the real trick is learning to unsee what you're seeing. This line is gonna go across. There's no blue above the pupil. The pupil is actually almost cut off by the eye. Is that doesn't really go down, it goes across. So that's, you look at here, this line does not come back down, it goes almost up. Yeah, it actually goes up a little bit. So it needs to go up. This does come down a little bit because the eyebrow. But yeah, we're gonna do this. There's a tiny little bit of white here. And then this goes across all the way to here. And then comes up. So we're gonna, let's see. Kind of lighten this up a little bit. It's a little bit too dark. Although that side does have some, I almost blew on it. Don't ever blow on your drawing to get erasers and stuff off, because you will spit on it at some point and then ruin it. Let me see. So we need to get this, I mean, I don't want to make super dark circles, like, I don't want to make it look like this person hasn't slept in a month, but because some of that is just the contrast of this, the way I've printed out this picture and stuff. Let me see, this eye almost goes back to where the hair is too, so I think maybe the hair needs to come in further. Let me see. Let's go from here. We're going to measure from the pupil here all the way across. There we go. So that's the pupil to where, yeah, the hair needs to come in more. Okay. That's fine. We'll do that too. I think the hair on this side needs to be darker anyway. I just wanted to get it in place. Okay, so we've got that. We need the eyebrow, so we're going to look at the eyebrow. And so if you look at this, it starts at the middle of the middle side of the pupil, and it pretty much starts right here, and then it's going to come up at this angle. So we're going to go like that, and it's pretty much going to go all the way into the hair. Let me sharpen this again because running. There we go. Okay. It's just going to fade into the hair. And there's a little bit of a thinning, whatever you want to call that. There's a little contour there that I want to try to get, if I can. Let's see. See if we can get it. Like that. There we go. And now I've got, let's see, that. So now this one has individual hairs that I can see, and then the other one is really dark, so I'm going to have to compensate, make this one. Okay, so overall this side of the face should be a little bit darker than this side of the face. So what I need to do is I need to just add some overall darkness to this entire side of the face. I know it doesn't show up in this so much, but I wanted to give it more of a light is coming from this direction, kind of like that. And so yeah, if the light's coming from that direction, this side of the face isn't going to be lit up very much in comparison. Let me see if we can do something, especially down here. This part of the cheek, this part of the nose, it's going to be darker. This underneath the eyes, coming all the way up to where the eyes end. And then down, especially down here, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit of this. We're going to darken this and then bring it back out. There we go. Now you see that little bit of thing has added a lot of depth to it. So basically, if something is the same color all the way across, it's at the same angle. It's flat. That means it's flat. If it's curved, then it's gonna, see, the shade is gonna change. So if it looks like that, it's going to look flat. So I need to do something with that, probably even a little bit with this, because the part underneath the hair is going to be shaded a little bit. The sun's coming from over here, it's not going to hit just the part that's right at the very edge of the face. I am just barely touching the paper with this. Now if you get it too dark, again you can use this brush and just lightly, the static will just pick up, it'll just pick up the powder or whatever you want to call it. It'll pick up the material, your grains and particles of pigment. I'm going to go like this. This eye looks lighter than the other one, doesn't it? I'm going to do that. There we go. And then this needs to be filled in too. There we go. We've got a little under the eyes. I need to get a little darker here. The nostril. So let me see here. And just a tiny bit on this side. And then we're gonna bring it back just a little bit. Probably do that with this. And I do need to add some more here. And then this gets lighter right next to the mouth. Underneath we get more shadow here. Okay, so I think that's a lot improved. I still need to get the hair here, so let me see if I can fix up the hair here. Get this back up here. So we'll see what we can do with the hair. And the other thing is I need to make sure I get these highlights in here. Now there are tricks to get really ultra cool looking hair and like realistic type of hair and stuff for portraits, and yeah, I'm not that good. Not even close. So yeah, I'm just gonna do my best to make sure it looks like hair. Kind of establishing my own style of that stuff too, so of what my drawings look like, because again, they're not photorealistic. I'm not going for photorealistic in these. The trick to getting these little tufts of hair at the end that look good is, instead of trying to come this way, is you start at the end like this, and then you start at the same point. So that way you're not trying to meet up at the same point. So if you see what I did there, is I'm getting those little triangles there, and that's how you do that, is you start, whoops, at the there we go. You start at the end and then work your way out. This is getting really dull. I can tell which of my pencils I'm going to need to buy new ones of first. This thing is tiny. It's getting there anyway. Okay, a little bit more here. It's doing that thing again on me. I'm going to do that. And so you do want to have a few of them. I mean, it's hair. It's not, you know, unless you're drawing like a newscaster or whatever, it's hair. It's not going to be everything perfect. You know, you want to draw, some of them are askew and going across ways, or, you know, doing their own thing. Let's see if we can get this end to match up. There we go. And let me see again. Yeah, I think this line here is slightly exaggerated, so maybe I should take that back too. I think I've got that, like, that's better, much better. Go. Bring this hair back here. We can maybe even do a little piece of blonde highlight sticking out there. Maybe a little piece sticking out here. There we go. Okay. So I think that's pretty good improvement over the last one, over what we had at the end of the last thing. And let me see if we can start to get some of this. Let's see what my colors are I'm going to do. I need to figure out the colors I want to do on this. See. Whoops. Just messing with the tablet here. Let's see. Let me double check what the colors are going to be on here. I think they are blue on blue. Yeah. Okay, it's gonna be dark blue and light blue. So let me see. We're gonna do this one, and then I think we're gonna try for a sky blue. So let me see what I can get here. If I can do this without, I could do either this one or this one. And personally, I love this aquamarine kind of thing, but it's not me. So we're going to check out what we have here. Whoops. Just going to do a little color test here. We have that, and then we have that. I'm thinking this is going to be the more accurate. There's almost like a little bit more, because this one is too green. Let me see, there's one more in here. You see how this one does. That one's, I think, too dark. That's the problem. Let me see what this is in light. Yeah, see, that's still not light blue. Let me see what this one... And then we're going to do... That was this one here. And this one here. Yeah, I'm thinking it's these two. So we're going to go dark blue and light blue. Okay, so I'm going to need to sharpen this one. Put all these back. I think we might even be done with the skin tones and everything too. Let's see. I think we've got that. Okay. So let's get, not that one, this one. Okay, so all of this is light blue. All of these light gray things are light blue. Let me see. Either way, whichever one of these. This one's probably better for it. But yeah, these are all light blue, and then this stuff is dark blue. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it at all on there, but I've got a really faint, I basically got all of these regions figured out before I started on the head, just because I wanted to make sure that this was going to fit on the paper and everything. So yeah, I've got all this pretty much roughed out as far as the outside of each chunk. And so we're going to go like... This just needs to be dark blue. Okay. Let me see here. We're going to go starting here. And I think this entire, yeah, this entire thing is going to be dark blue. It's going to go up to here. So I'm going to fill this in, and I think we will just work our way pretty much from the top to the bottom. The armor is a lot easier because, like I said before, nobody knows what armor looks like. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you make, if you make this part of the arm bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter. It's not going to look all wonky and messed up. Whereas, everybody knows what somebody's eyes look like, especially the own person, know what their own eyes look like. And so, if somebody's eyes aren't proportioned correctly, it really matters. Your brain is wired to pick that stuff up. You're basically an expert at looking at human faces, which is why they put faces on money. Because then if somebody copies it and they don't do it exactly right, you can see. Okay. And here's the thing where I'm probably going to end up having to come back to the face and add more value, because this is really going to stand out. The face is going to look so light compared to this. And remember, our light is coming from up here, so I'm going to add in shadow. I know it doesn't really show it on here. This is all one color, but I'm going to alter that here. We're going to make this really dark. I might even throw some black on there. Let me see. So this shadow is going to be like this, isn't it? Let's see if we can get a little bit of black on here to really darken it up. Just a touch. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. So it depends on the angle. This actually is a little bit of reflective. It's not as bad as like regular graphite, but yeah. Well, and you've even got even more contrast on the screen here than I've got here. So you can see like all of these, like this little line right here, I can barely see that. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use this. Maybe you guys can see what it'll do now. Can you see the difference? I think we're going to even do like this. Now I don't want to go ridiculously extreme with the shadowing here, as if, the only light source is here and it's like completely pitch black on this side kind of thing. I don't want to do that either. So you need to be cautious of that, of overdoing the shading. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to set that here. So we have this here, right? And then this comes down, and it comes across this way, and then it comes up a little bit. And that comes out that way. It comes down to there. And across to here. And then we have a really significantly darker area here. So this is like the crease between the pieces of armor. So we're going to go like that. And the same thing here. Get this back here. And then we're going to go, let me see, we're going to have a dark spot here. And then we're going to have dark lines here. And it's going to come down just a little bit to show contour here. It's going to come, there we go. And it goes all the way from that to pretty much white. So we're going to go, we're going to fill in this whole segment here. With our light blue. Like that. And just a little bit here. I just want to get the sense of the highlights. I'm not going to do like every little grain of the highlight and everything. So we're going to go like this. I need to get that. There's like a sense of a line there, so I don't want that. I don't want it to look like there's a line. Doing this to get all the powder off of it. Okay, so we're going to have this, and then it's going to get darker over here. And I know this is mostly flat, but I am going to actually give it more depth, more of a look of depth. Make it look like the armor is more rounded and stuff here. Like this. And then we're going to go this little bit here. See. Then this part here is going to go fairly dark and come up to about there. And then it's going to come in here. We're going to have a little bit of a highlight right there and some let's see, we have some value in here. Personally, I find it easiest to start with everything filled in at the lightest level and then start to darken in everything more and more as I go. And then this is, because there's like a highlight right here. And right above it. It's actually kind of dark right here, and then fades back in. There we go. And it seems like I got, whoops, still hitting the mic. Look, I got a little streak of something there. Okay, and I might even come back across and do some of these lines with the darker, like with the darker blue or with the black. But I think it's fine as it is. Okay, and then we're going to have, that's like a darker blue and it's textured too. Let me check real quick here. Yeah, it is. Okay. So this is this stuff here is like cross-hatched. So we're going to see if we can get that, a cartoony effect of that. Let's see. I'm just trying to decide if I want to go vertically and horizontally, if I want to try to follow the contours. Let me check again on my reference here. Let me see. Yeah, the reference seems to kind of go with it. Yeah, it's like this. It's on this angle. So I think we're going to try that. So we're going to go like, where's the top of that? The top of that comes all the way up to here. Okay. Now the trick to this that I need to remember to do is to not curve the ends of these lines. And that's going to come all the way across to here. So yeah, if the line's curved, then that suggests that there's a contour of the actual armor. So I want to kind of be careful about how I do that. Let's see. So we do want some curve here. Okay, and then this is going to curve up a little bit. Actually doesn't really have any curving on there, does it? Or any other. It's just the one direction. So let's try to, oops. Where's the undo? Control Z. I might have to turn this upside down because I can't. There we go. it's going to come around there. So I'm just going to get all this flat shaded in, and then we're going to try to remove some value to get the highlights, I think. Because it's totally not that I completely forgot to put highlights in or anything. That's not what it is. Okay, so our highlights are here. You can see this region here and then this little region here. So, whoops, I keep smacking the mic. And then you guys probably won't want to know what I'm talking about because I'm like going to go back in and post edit and, you know, turned off the volume and those little spikes. Okay, so we've got a spot over here. And then we've got a spot right here. Now you can see how much of that color has actually been picked up by this thing. Okay, and then we're going to do a little bit up here, just a tiny bit. Yeah, it's already covered in blue. See if we can get it. Maybe use this. Like that. Let's see. There we go. Okay. And then a little bit more over here. The nice thing when you do this is it gives that sense of it being washed out by light. There we go. Might be a little bit too squarish maybe. Yeah, let me do this. It's more pill shaped here. There we go. That's much better. And then a little bit right up here. Try to get a little dot up there. Why does this come? Something's wrong there, isn't it? Because this comes across that and then comes down. Let's see. Across here. This little armpit thingy comes up here, and then it curves up to there. Let's see. Get the blue off of here. There we go. Okay, so that is part of this thing. This comes up here. Okay, so that's a separate thing there. All right. And then what we wanted to do was get this little bit of highlight here. There we go. Tiny bit. Okay. And let's see if we can get this one done here in the same session, because otherwise it's gonna look really bad. And I think we're gonna do the same sort of thing here. This is gonna come down there like that. They aren't going that way, are they? That's not going to make sense. So they need to go like this. So this line needs to come out. And a lot of this is just going to go away anyway, so let me see. A lot of this is just going to see. That's going to come up to there, so that's this part here. That's going to come out there. Okay. Just trying to make sure I got this right. Okay, and then this piece comes down there. Like that. Yeah, because that's the collar. Okay. That's the collar there, and then this is going to be darker. So we're going to start here. There's not going to be any highlight on any of this. So I'm probably going to lose a lot of the hint of these lines. But that's fine. Okay, so is that, yeah, see, it's way lighter in the in your guys' view. See here. You can actually still see a lot of the lines and stuff. Because I don't want to lose the distinction between these 2 points. Is the thing I'm kind of concerned about. So I'm going to try to do some of this. Let's see. Again, these are really subtle, and probably the avatar is not going to show any of this stuff, but I want it to look good for the actual drawing. Okay, got that. I need to, this edge does need to be sharpened. There we go. That, get this little bit of color out of there. Okay. And then this needs to even be darker, I think. And so does this. There we go. Okay. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for this session. I think we've got a lot more, yeah, I think it looks a lot better. Trying to get that, yeah, it's hard to to get them at the same angle. Anyway, yeah, we're going to continue on in the next one. So see you guys then. Later.